course, was coaxial cable in the actual antenna structure. In the overall picture of things, the antenna itself is probably 35 years old, and the coax cable probably is similar to that. Not very much value at all in any of that. Obviously, the base part would be of value to us. So I think from a perspective of, quote, decommissioning it, if we can, us or Motorola, whatever the agreement was, removes the bungalow component, I think as a police service, we shouldn't be overly concerned about what the value is of that structure on top, based on its age. And I don't see it being repurposed, especially the coax cable. I would, and from a radio background, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, but that's me. And I would think Motorola would probably share that as well. I have on the list Member Stewart, who I think wants to talk on this issue as well.
Yes, just on the same thing as I'm trying to recall at a previous technology meeting, and the name has escaped me now, the guy who's in charge of the radio project, Tim, and mentioned that it wasn't as simple as just taking down a tower structure, that there were the electronic components and all of that piece that has to be removed from it. So the decommissioning is a little more than just physical. I would wholeheartedly agree that if we could just get our electronic stuff out of there, and whatever purpose that is, it makes a whole lot of sense if the region is going to tear down the tower, or tear down the water tower, that the spike on the top of it that holds the antenna could be taken down at the same time. That, to me, makes economic sense. But I'm not sure about the hardware. And if I misinterpreted last time that there are sort of two separate entities in the decommissioning. There's the hardware piece as far as the technology goes, and then there's just the physical structure. There's two different ones. Now, I don't know, Chair, if I've misinterpreted that, but I don't know how that works.
I don't think you did. I think you're correct. I think what we referenced, the valuable equipment that had potential resale, were the microwave dishes for the backhaul. You're right. If there's a cable that has been sitting there for 10, 20 years, is it worth taking it down? It could come out with a structure, but it's that other asset that may still has value, and they were more specific to the microwave dishes that we wanted to manage taking that down instead of just ignoring it. So you're correct.
Next on the list is Member Marshall.
Thank you, Chair. A follow-up to my question about the computers. Pardon me. We said at one time there was a market for the used radio system that we've replaced. Have we had any luck with that, or is that also going to the regional disposal company?
Goes to Motorola.
Yeah, I think so. Part of the contract and the overall savings that the Motorola has given us credit to reclaim or take back the legacy equipment. So we have no intention to selling the core equipment. We were talking about the microwave, but part of the contract, we have to give that equipment back to Motorola.
Microwave or?
No, the core radio equipment sitting in 68 Church.
So we're giving that radio system back to Motorola?
That's part of the contract.
Thank you.
Any other questions from any members? So then on this report, the recommendation is to receive. Can I have a mover and seconder for that? Member Stewart, Member Marshall. All in favor of receiving? That's carried. That deals with item number 2. Item number 3 is the Microsoft Enterprise Renewal Agreement covering a period of 2017 to 2019. Again, I would go through the chief on this matter.
You have the report before you, and if you wish, do you want Akram to walk through it again, or
just give us some highlights on this? I think this is, I've seen this before from past years, and this is basically a renewal, but if you want to highlight some of the issues or benefits.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, this request is for renewal of the Microsoft Enterprise Agreement between 2017, from 2017 to 2019. Our current agreement expired December 31st, 2016, and it is in the total of an annual payment of of $245,651. That's including tax net rebates. And the contract, the enterprise agreement consists of two contracts, or two agreements, I call them. One is specific to the core infrastructure sitting in the data center. This is all our servers that light up our data center, and then you get your enterprise products like a Microsoft Office, Microsoft Project, email, and licensing the users. What we've committed in the previous one is when we renew, we're going to do a thorough analysis of our needs when we come back for renewal. So what we've done, and I've articulated that analysis on page 4, where we've taken a look at a status quo, so renewing exactly what we have, product by product, and we provided you with a yearly cost of what that would look like. Then we've taken a look at looking at the enterprise agreement and maybe excluding Microsoft Office from this consumer upgrade. And there was a cost for that. And the reason we looked at that option is software assurance, when you renew the contract, allows you to stay up to date with the most current version. So as a new version comes up, you're entitled to go up to that version, and it's backward compatible. So we're looking into that. The MDOP option is a management tool that allows us to manage encryption, manage group policies, and how those computers are governed and run in an enterprise environment. So we looked at it with that option. We looked at an option without Office and without the management tools, and the cost was slightly lower than option 2. Then we also looked at the cloud. And I know, Mr. Chair, that's an option that you want us to consider if it's a good fit for our environment and what that cost will look like. And we looked at it, and the cost obviously is much higher. It's almost $300,000 a year. We looked at an option that is a very basic cloud option. It was a bit cheap. It was a little bit more expensive than than option 2, but it didn't offer us any benefit from a productivity perspective. And then we looked at the option where I'll call it the Cadillac option, and you have a lot of benefits with that. And that was, as you can see from the amount on page 5, it's very cost prohibitive. So our recommendations is to go with option 2 on the analysis as outlined in page number 4, and also the actual cost, which is in page number 3, is to maintain what we have in our data center. There's no other options, and the reason we need to renew it is the board has accepted a recommendation to provide an IT backup center, which will be housed and co-located at the region. And for us to maintain that license or that assurance, is it allows us to have, at no cost, another presence of those core systems without having to buy the license twice. It's a lot cheaper to do that. So the total recommendation for the award for the next 3 years, a 3-year commitment is $736,945, including HST net of rebates. The region just went through a similar process back in November, and they've awarded the contract to CDW Canada. We usually piggyback off the regional procurement process, and they were aware that we wanted to actually do that anyway, so we are following what the region has awarded, and the region has taken a similar position as what I'm recommending to you. Go with the renewal without Microsoft Office. Again, it was cost effective. It didn't make sense to renew something for the sake of renewing it, because you can never keep up with maintaining your systems at the latest version. We feel that our upgrade of Office usually happens every 5 to 6 years, sometimes in the 7th year. Again, if there's no business drivers or there's no reasons to upgrade a version of a product, we usually do not do it unless there's a business reason, because the impact of doing that is quite large. So I hope that summarizes the board report. and the recommendations on the request for funding. This is in the the funding is available in the 2017 budget. It has been approved, so there's no additional dollars.
Okay, thank you for that. And before I go to members, I just have a question that you brought up there. So if I look at page 4 of the report, where you have the items 1 to 5, the recommendation you're making is to use item number 2.
Yes.
Says enterprise as is with MDOP, no office, et cetera. Your recommendation, and I would concur with your analysis here, not to continually chase what I call the office upgrades.
Correct.
So you're satisfied with probably, Office 2013 or something like that, or?
Currently, we are 2010, 2013. We have the right to go to 2016 without any cost. And this is the current version that is sitting in the cloud and it's actually available to us. Similar to with other products, we are at the latest version right now. So we can upgrade them sometime in the near future to the latest version at no cost.
The only, and again, not within the report here, but my concern would be moving to anything that's cloud-based with police data being shared outside of our four walls, as I like to refer to it. And as much as I'm a believer in a cloud-type environment, a cloud environment made in Niagara or made in NRP would be 100 times preferable to a cloud environment, quote, out there somewhere, of which we have very little control over where it is, where it sits, and what security parameters are on it. And I think, again, you would share the requirements for data security within a police environment. So if we take this recommendation of the 201,516 per year, is that what eventually ends up on the last page, page 7? Where it's 198,030, but I'm assuming you've added HST back into that. Is that where you get the 201? Okay.
1.76, correct.
Right, okay. And then the next page over, which is the 130 amount, that's basically to support your data server. So that's your servers within the data center, et cetera. Okay. And that is part of the, are we approving that? Where do we talk about that? Or is that what brings us to a grand total of a 736?
Yeah, so page 1 of the first page of the board report.
Yeah?
Recommendation number 2 is 245,651 for the two contracts combined.
Right, okay.
And it's an annual, it's a 3-year commitment that we issue a PO, and it's billed annually.
Okay, so on an annual basis, it's 245 and change, and which you've budgeted in the operating budget for 2017, so we're fine there. But looking at the entire total package, which again is over a 3-year, and obviously now we have a commitment to do this for 3 years, would be 736. Okay. Any questions from any other members? Member Marshall.
Thank you to the chief. How many units are we talking about? How many licenses are we looking at here?
Give that back to Akram.
Is not through Mr. Chair. It's 900 for the enterprise agreement. Is a total of 909 licenses.
That works out to approximately $100 a license, or $1,000 a license?
No. Close to $200 a license. Now, the pricing is different. If you take a look at the board report, Member Marshall, we've attached 2 copies of the actual product pricing, if it will help. So The average license for the enterprise products is $200 per license, and we also have other products as additional products at different rates. Some of them are at $800 a license, depending on the type of license. Some of them at $3 a license, so it does vary. But if you take a look at the core enterprise for Windows, for example, that's one price, it's $909, and then it's broken up at $150 for a product, $860, so they do vary.
So we're effectively renting these programs, though, this software, at a cost of $200 a year?
No, we actually, those products we own. All what we're doing is we're renewing the maintenance on them because we need to maintain maintenance for management purposes. We've omitted the ones that we didn't feel we need to maintain upgrades, and we're gonna buy them as per need basis way down the road, so maybe in 6 years if we felt there was a need. But those licenses we own. As I mentioned earlier in my comments, on the data center licenses, for us to establish a disaster recovery center, we have two options. We can establish it without having to renew the license, to buy the license again, or we can choose to not renew the maintenance and buy them from scratch. But we
Buying
do,
them from scratch would cost us how much?
I'll have to come back to you with a number, but it could be, if I have to buy them from scratch, it could cost us almost $1 million,
To buy them from scratch?
depending on the license. But I have to actually go line by line and look at every cost per line item.
So that's versus $745,000
That's a one-time, we could have to pay $1 million plus maintenance, right? So I'm giving you a number, but it could be $1 million plus additional costs plus annual costs. So it may not be a cost-effective way to do that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I can have a motion and a second, a motion for this based on items, recommendations numbers 1 and 2 on the report, a mover and seconder, moved by Member Bonham, seconded by Member Caslin. All in favor? So that deals with item number 3. So, wait a second. Okay. I think we are at the end of our agenda. Is there anything else from any members IT related? Akram, you have anything at
No,
all?
Mr. Chair, no, we're all good.
The only other, I guess, comment or question is, with the business plan now being established and well underway, the IT, quote, business plan component, and I was looking over the one from last 3 years, which ended on December 31st,
Right.
2016. The 3-year one for IT, which would start January 1, how close are you to getting that to us as a final report, or I would hope that you've started on that?
Yes, so we do want to report on the performance of the IT strategic plan. At the same time, we're reporting that through the business plan, because there's a lot of alignments between the two. So we're doing the reporting in the business plan, and where the IT business plan is supporting the business plan. And the next step is now we have to create or build the updated plan. And I need to do the consultation with the chief, the deputies, and exec staff to prepare for the next 3 years of the IT strategic plan. So we're beginning that high-level discussions, but we're focusing on now on just reporting the performance of the business plan. But it will be coming for the board to discuss and adopt.
Hopefully sooner than later. I went through the business plan the other day, as I sort of do at the end of the year, just trying to sort of figure out where we are. I mean, there's a number of items in there that are squarely, as much as they will say Deputy Chief of Support Services or something like that, but they're IT related, so they're gonna flow down to your operation. So what I'm getting at is I'm hoping that you're extracting the responsibility components of that business plan and then developing the strategy to implement that on behalf of the service.
Yeah, we are, and we will be reporting back on the quarterly moments, the tombstones and the dates that have been set in relation to the actual business plan, which includes that piece, and that will be followed up in there as well, and the plan will be developed through IT.
Okay, much appreciated that. Anything else? So then this part of the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
So we'll take a little break. I know Dave Berk's on his way here too, and